Welcome students to session number 15 of chapter number 5 laws of motion. Today we are going to study a very important derivation from the exam point of view, which is going to come 100% in the exam. 3 marks question, that is motion of a car on a circular level road. So today's topic is motion of a car on a circular level road. Clear? Now before moving into the detail of this derivation, I want to tell you one thing. What do you mean by word level? What do you mean by word level? Level means flat. Level means flat. There is one more term, that is bank curved road. Bank curved road means it is having some slope. Yes, the inner and outer edge, the two edges of the road, where one edge will touch the ground and second is inclined at some height like this. This type of road is known as what? Bank curved road. It is known as what? Bank curved road. Suppose one edge is touched to the flat road, another edge is raised at some height, then this type of road is known as what? Bank curved road. This is known as what? Bank curved. Slope, bank curved road. Clear? Flat, level road. Till this clear? Okay. Motion of a car on a circular level road, that is our question. Circular level road means there is a circular track, flat circular track, and we are going to discuss the what is the equation for the maximum speed. What is the equation for the maximum speed in order to move on a circular level road? Now, one thing over here I want to tell you, that is, we know the concept of centripetal force. Clear? In order to move on a circular track, with constant velocity or constant speed, then you need to have centripetal force. Clear? And this centripetal force is provided by what? Frictional force between the tires and the roads of the vehicle. Clear? If centripetal force is not available, or if centripetal force is not there, you will not be able to move on a circular road. Clear? So remember, in order to move on a circular track with constant speed v, or you can say uniform speed v, then you need necessary centripetal force. That necessary centripetal force is provided by frictional force between tires and the roads of the vehicle. Clear? 100% clear? Now I am moving to the derivation. If a car negotiates on a motion on a circular level road, Clear? Here car is trying to move on a circular level road. The necessary centripetal force is provided by the frictional force between road and tires of the vehicle. Clear? If a car or vehicle, here we have taken car, so we will consider car. Clear? So again, for motion of a car on a circular level road, if a car is negotiating motion on a circular level road, then the necessary centripetal force is provided by the frictional force between the road and tires of the car. As the car moves on the level road, what happens? Frictional force comes into existence, and that frictional force between the tires and the road provides necessary centripetal force to the car in order to move the car on a circular road or on a curve. Till this clear perfectly? Very good. Moving to the next step of the derivation, we do. So now we are considering example for this derivation of motion of a car on a level road. So I am writing, consider a car of weight mg, moving on a circular road of radius small r, of radius small r. So let us consider a car over here. I am drawing a car. Suppose this is your car and these are your two tires. Here, from center, the radius you do have of the car, that is r is the radius of the circular track. This is a circular track. Clear? From the center you are having radius what? R. You will able to notice that both the tires will have frictional force. So here that is F1. This is second tire, so it will be F2. This is inner tire, yes or no? And this is outer tire. Clear? This is inner frictional force due to inner tire and frictional force due to outer tire. Till this clear? Very good. Now normal reaction will be R1 over here due to ground. Here normal reaction will be due to ground, that is R2. I can say total reaction force will be what? R1 plus R2. Addition will be R1 plus R2, and the weight of the car, that is nothing but what? Mg, which is going to act what? Downwards. Yes or no? So this is your Mg and this is your R1 plus R2. You will able to notice one thing over here. R1 plus R2 is equal to Mg. Yes or no? R1 R2 is upward, Mg is downward. So you can say that the total normal reaction balances the weight of the car. So I can one thing conclude over here. Total normal reaction, we can say, I am writing over here, total normal reaction is balanced, is equal to weight of car. Till this clear perfectly? Again I have taken one car moving on a circular level road. Distance from center of the car to the center of the circular track, that is the radius of the track, that is small r. F1 is the frictional force due to inner tire. F2 is the frictional force due to outer tire. Clear or not? This R1 is the reaction force due to ground with the due to what? Inner tire. This is the reaction force, normal reaction due to outer tire 2. Clear? R2. Total reaction is R1 plus R2, and weight of the car Mg is acting downwards. Here you will able to notice one thing. What you have noticed? The total reaction R1 plus R2, that is equal to what? Weight of Mg of the car. Clear perfectly? Fine. So I have written, consider a car of weight Mg moving on a circular road of radius R with constant velocity V. With constant velocity V. Clear? With constant velocity V. Now one thing you have noticed over here. What you have noticed? In order to move this car on a circular level road, you need one force. Which force? Centripetal force. That centripetal force is provided by this frictional force. This centripetal force is provided by the frictional force, which is acting at inner tire and outer tire respectively. So I can say over here, consider a car of moving weight Mg moving on a circular road of radius R with constant velocity V. In order to perform the circular motion on a level road, in order to perform circular motion on a level road, the necessary centripetal force is provided by frictional force, is provided by friction F1 and F2 at friction F1 and F2 at inner and outer tire respectively, at inner and outer tire respectively, acting inwards. Clear? Both the forces are acting inwards. Till this clear? Fine. If the frictional force does not provide necessary centripetal force. If frictional force does not provide necessary centripetal force, what will happen, you know? If there is not sufficient centripetal force, then the wheels of the car while moving on a curved road, what will happen? The wheels of the car will tend to move off road, or will try to move in a straight line rather on the curvature. It will not move on a curve, but the wheels will try to move straight. If the wheels will try to move straight, what will happen? They will start moving on a circular track with radius greater than r. It was r. Here, if this car skids, what happens? It will going to move on a track with radius greater than r. Yes or no? And here one thing you'll be able to notice that this car will go away from the center. The car will go away from the center as the wheels go away from the center. Clear? If the frictional force does not provide necessary centripetal force, then the tires of the car tends to move in a straight line rather to move on a curved road and will go away from the center, means the car will skid. So in order to move on a circular track, you need to have necessary centripetal force that is provided by the frictional force at the inner and outer tire. Clear? Very good. So outer tire respectively acting inwards. Here we know that one thing. Here we know that frictional force is proportional to normal reaction. Well, we have studied in laws of static friction. Frictional force is proportional to normal reaction. If I remove this proportionality sign, what I am going to get? F is equal to mu r. I am going to get F is equal to mu r. One thing you have to notice over here, what this mu means. Mu is nothing but coefficient of static friction. Till this clear? So we have got the equation for frictional force F, that is equal to mu r, where mu is nothing but what? Coefficient of static friction. So here I will get two equations for frictional force. Yes or no? First is F1, that is frictional force at inner tire. F2, frictional force at outer tire. Till this clear? So I am going to get, let me clear the board. Fine. So here we do have, that is R2. Being erased, that is right. Total is, this is R1, this is R2, and total we are having, that is R1 plus R2. Till this clear? So from F is equal to mu r, I can write two things. F1 that is equal to mu r1 and F2 is equal to mu r2. Yes or no? These are the two equations I have got. Clear perfectly? Fine. If I want to find out the total here the total reaction, here the total normal reaction. What is total normal reaction? Balancing weight of the car. Here total normal reaction balances the weight of the car. So I can conclude one thing over here. R1 plus R2 that is equal to mg. R1 plus R2 that is equal to mg, because R1 and R2 are acting upwards, mg is acting downwards. Both are balancing each other, so I can say that R1 plus R2 that is equal to mg. Clear? Now if I want to calculate total frictional force, total friction that is equal to, I have to add two frictions. First due to inner tire and second due to outer tire. Simple. So inner tire F1 that is equal to, I do have equation for F1 that is mu R1. For F2 I do have equation that is mu R2. So what I am going to get? Mu common. So R1 plus R2. Till this clear? But R1 plus R2 I do have something. R1 plus R2 that is equal to mg. So I will substitute this, that is mg. So I am going to get, my answer is mu mg. I have written the condition if R1 plus R2 that is equal to mg. Clear? So I got my total frictional force F1 plus F2 that is equal to mu mg. That is nothing but, can I write total F can I write total F, because I am calculating total friction, F, that is summation what, F1 plus F2, in that I got value mu m g. Till this clear perfectly? 100%? Very good. Let me clear the board. Hope it is perfectly clear. So I have got equation. I will put it the equation F1 that is equal to mu R1, and I do have F2 that is equal to mu R2. Also I have what I have, R1 plus R2 that is equal to mg. Very good. So total friction I have calculated. F that is equal to F1 plus F2 that is equal to mu R1 plus mu R2. If I take mu out, that is R1 plus R2, and R1 plus R2 is nothing but what, mg. So I got my total frictional force F that is equal to mu mg. Now again coming back to the condition. What is condition? The centripetal force, the necessary centripetal force is provided by the frictional force between tires and road. Clear? So here in order to move on a curved road, remember one thing, the necessary centripetal force must be greater than or equal to what, frictional force, that is greater than equal to frictional force. Very good. So for a car to be moving on a straight curved road, here we need to think one important point. That one important point is the maximum static frictional force must be greater than centripetal force. So I am writing over here, in order to move on a curved road, there is one condition. What is condition? Maximum frictional force must be greater than equal to centripetal force. Maximum frictional force, we do have F, must be greater than equal to centripetal force is mv square by r, that is equal to mv square by, again I am telling you, centripetal force that is equal to what, mass into acceleration. Yes or no? This acceleration is nothing but centripetal acceleration. So mass is m, centripetal acceleration is v square by r. So my centripetal force that is equal to mv square by r. Till this clear? So I am going to get equation F greater than mv square upon r. So my frictional force F is greater than mv square upon r. Here F we do have, that is the mu mg greater than equal to mv square upon r. This cancel. So I am to get equation that is mu g greater than equal to v square by r. So if I send this side, then I am going to get mu rg greater than equal to v square. One thing I can conclude over here, that is v square is less than equal to mu rg. Yes or no? V square is equal to less than or equal to mu rg. Remember one thing, if this is the condition, v square is less than equal to mu rg, if I want to calculate the maximum speed is either equal to mu rg, not more than that. So I can write out the maximum v square max, that is equal to what, mu rg. And if somebody asks you to calculate the maximum permissible speed, v max, that is equal to mu rg under root of mu rg. This is my final equation. Clear? So again I am repeating, that is v square max. I am writing again v square max, that is equal to mu rg, that you have got already. If I want only v max, so I need to take square root of mu rg. This is my equation for what? Maximum speed. This is my equation for maximum speed. Till this clear perfectly? Fine. Moving ahead. So let me clean the board. I have got the equation with me, that is Vmax is equal to, that is Vmax that is equal to under root of mu rg. This is the maximum speed with which the car can move on a circular road. If speed increases beyond Vmax, if you are increasing speed beyond this Vmax, the car will skid. The car will skid. The car will skid and move on a circular track of radius greater than greater is important, greater than r. Clear? First it was moving on radius r, now it will move on the radius greater than r, this, so it will move off the road. Yes or no? It will move off the, now it is going to move on like this circular track which is greater than what? This radius r, when it is moving away from the center, or it is skidding. Yes or no? So here I can write, if the speed increases beyond Vmax, the car will skid and move on the circular track of radius greater than r, as maximum frictional force is insufficient to provide necessary centripetal force. Till this clear? To provide necessary centripetal force. If you are increasing your speed, then your centripetal force is insufficient to provide, your frictional force is insufficient to provide necessary centripetal force. Then what happened? Your car will skid off, will move away from the center, or will try to move on a circular track of radius greater than r. Till this clear? One thing we have concluded over here. Here, maximum speed depends upon two things. Depends upon number one, r. R is nothing but what? Radius of circular track. Second thing, it depends upon mu. Mu is nothing but coefficient of static friction. Till this clear? Your derivation comes to an end. Thank you.